fashion trend still trending now, because I would totally love to wear such an, I think all women would love to go for such an outfit. I think it's everyone's dream. And the next topic that we are entering into is a life cycle of fashion. So fashion life cycle is a span of a particular fashion during which the fashion exists. So like that is like a particular look, shape, or type of apparel item. So in the world of fashion, style is an ever-changing phenomenon. So you look at fashion cycle, it's always like a bell curve, right? There are three stages of fashion: the beginning stage, and then it's trending at your peak, and then the eventual decline and vanishing of a fashion trend. So if you look at a fashion cycle, it's always like a bell curve. But there are fashion trends that defy a fashion cycle, which are known as classics, which are timeless. Um, so mostly in the decline stage for a garment, it becomes common in the mass market. So that's how the decline is calculated. When a garment becomes more and more common in a mass market, that is when you know that it is kind of declining, right? And in this period, the fashion is offered at discounted rates and at retail stores. So, and then it is always out of fashion whenever a fad comes in. The curve kind of like goes down, but classic defies it. So classic is all about timelessness. So there is one key element that holds true for any type of classics, whether it's fashion, films, or books for that matter. It is all about quality. When you talk about classic, you think quality, because quality is what makes classic a timeless product, right? And in fashion, some of the classic characteristics are um, clean silhouettes. Clean silhouettes, they define classic outfits, right? And then clean cut, tailored suits, tailored outfits, neat hems, neutral colors. Sorry, there's a little disturbance in the background.
One second. Vineet, can you just mute Isha? Thanks. Go ahead, Anu.
Yeah. So there are several characteristics which define timelessness in
Vineet,
fashion.
I think you should mute everybody except Anu.
Go ahead, Anu. You have to unmute yourself.
Thank you. So yeah, classic fashion is characterized by several characters like, clean silhouettes, neat hems, tailored cuts, simple stripes, minimal detailing. Very minimal stuff is all about classics, and very tailored, sophisticated outfits are categorized under timelessness, which is like classics. Next slide. So here we have Meghan Markle and Harry. The royal couple are celebrated for the classic dressing throughout the years. Mainly, their status calls for high level of dressing code. So as you can see, when someone adapts a high level of dressing code, they usually go for a classic outfit. So that's how they're defined by it. And Meghan Markle, in general, has brought in a new wave of modernity and minimalism to the British royal family style. As you all know, British royal families have always been adapting very clean cut, very sophisticated outfits. And as a third, fourth generation celebrity, Meghan Markle has gotten that new wave of modernity combined with royal sophistication into her dressing sense. Next. So next we have fad. So fad, as you can see, fad is the opposite of classic. It is very short-lived with a rapid growth in popularity and demise. So typically fads last for about 1 or 2 seasons maximum, but they can also last for about 3-4 seasons, depending on what kind of a fad trend is happening currently, right? The fad is often considered non-essential because you don't see fad getting into any sort of dress codes, right? You have ruffles, you have neons in fashion, fad, and then you have bright motifs and bright patterns, and all of that won't be accepted into formal dress codes or any standard dress codes for that matter. So it's usually considered non-essential, and it is just considered as a passing fancy. And fad in general is characterized or described as maximal clothing, loud, vibrant colors, loud patterns going on, and a lot of asymmetricism you can see in the outfits. And it's not really clean cut. And it's all about experimenting. Fad is all about experimenting. So each trend, each season, people come up with experimental stuff in order to see how it works in the market. And then accordingly, it kind of becomes trending or just goes down the bell curve of a fashion cycle. So here we have some celebrities sporting fad fashion. Kanye West has always been very open and experimental about fad fashion. I actually admire him for his fashion sense because he makes his outfits look really great on him, though people do not like necessarily adapt to his fashion. He makes them look really good. And as you all know, he has his own fashion brand, and he's the most celebrated fashion icon in the industry and has always been very eccentric on his fashion choices. So his fashion label is called Yeezy, some of you all know, and it is known for its successful collaboration with Adidas and Gap and all of that. So what is very interesting about this collaboration is he combines fad fashion with classic fashion and brings out a very good, very cool, sophisticated collection. So if you want to look at some interesting outfits, you can always visit his website, yeezy.com. And his Yeezy boots are considered one of the most influential boots wear in the shoe wear industry. Okay, so now we have a small trivia. Which fad fashion you think should have lasted longer? Do you have any personal fashion favorite you think disappeared too soon? Please let me know in the comment section if you're on Facebook Live, or if you're on Zoom, please let me know in the comments. Next. Moving on to difference between ready-made, made-to-measure, and bespoke. A lot of people get confused with the terms ready-to-wear, made-to-measure, made-to-order, and bespoke. So I'm just going to quickly brush on these topics and let you know what are the main differences and what you should be looking for. What are the characteristics you're supposed to look for in each section?
You have some answers in the chat box in Zoom.
Okay, great.
Yeah, Preeti Dugal has said peplum top, Disha cargo prints, Anamika Baswit said bell bottoms, Ajita corset gowns, Arnav has said Victorian gowns and
Wow,
full
nice.
shoulder tops.
Yeah. Great, great, great. Unable to see the bell bottoms, yes, corset gowns, peplum tops, Victorian gowns, cold shoulder tops, definitely. All these are should have stayed, but unfortunately they went down the trend curve. But I would say we can expect these fashion statements to come back, make a comeback in our current trend, because we see a lot of Victorian era fashion or historical fashion outfits coming back in time. So I think we can expect these coming back anytime soon. Moving on to ready to wear. As you all know, ready to wear is a garment that you can buy just off the rack. right? And you can find ready to wear in any brick and mortar store or online stores. It is just available everywhere. And it just hangs there and you could just buy it as it is. So it's intended to be worn immediately and hence also called as off the rack. Off the rack and ready to wear are the same. And advantages of ready to wear is that you get what you see, right? You just go to a store, pick a garment, and you check your fitting, and that's about it. So you can, and also you can touch, you can have a look, touch, and feel of it. You can try it on, and you know exactly what you get. So you don't have to wait like other categories of makes. Like for example, made to measure has a certain waiting time, and it has a levels of trials and deliveries to be done. But ready to wear is a no hassle and it's easiest way of shopping, but it has its own disadvantages. One main issue is that it will never fit you perfectly. It's even if it's altered multiple times, it's very difficult to fit you 100%. If someone says that their size fits exactly the same in a ready-made, trust me, they don't know it. They're not educated enough to understand measurement part, or they haven't had a taste of bespoke or made to measure. I would say that's a disadvantage. Fitting will be an issue and you can't do a customization in your ready-made. You see, what you see is what you get. That's all about ready-made. Works well when you are running out of time, when you don't have time, or just want to pick something, just want to experiment a couple of new arrivals at stores. That's when you pick a ready-made. But if you're going for a professional wear, you just start adopting for a different platform. Next. Okay. Next. Okay. So this is called, like, when you're in ready-made, you just go for whatever fits you. That's a me. My fashion style is called whatever the hell fits me. So that's what you feel when you're picking a ready-made, right? And made to order is it introduces customization in ready-made, or in a readily available base. You do certain level of customization that's called made to order. So the advantage is that you can picture what you're going to get, and you're going to select the sort of customization that you're going to do to a product. But again, fitting will be an issue because you already have an existing fit when it comes to made to order. You're just going to add new customizations to it. Again, the disadvantage will be fit. Next. Made to measure is currently the most popular form of clothing because made to measure in general is very easy to make, and it is very time saving compared to bespoke, and it has an improved fit from ready-made, and it is also comparatively less expensive than your bespoke. But again, made to measure has its own disadvantages because quality may vary, and your fitting won't be really good as bespoke because you already have an existing pattern and you're making alterations to it. So the quality of the garment is compromised, but it is very time saving and very less. It is less expensive than bespoke. So this is, yeah, made to measure. Next. Coming to bespoke. So bespoke is the term bespoke is derived from bespeak, which means to speak for something. It's a British term and just describes customized process where one individual can really decide exactly what they want. So it is customization from the scratch. Each bespoke garment is made for you. It is individually made for a single individual. So by a single tailor. So it's all made from scratch, and it takes at least 50 hours to make an outfit handmade. That is the real true meaning of bespoke, which is made from the scratch, handmade, and it takes multiple hours to create this individual outfit, because it is very individually crafted. It is very unique in style, and a bespoke garment can't be compared to anything else, because there is nothing like bespoke, right? It's the best fit, and no suit will exactly be alike as well. It really brings out a sophistication in one's garment when one is wearing a bespoke garment. But again, there are a few disadvantages, which is like it takes multiple fittings. It takes a little bit more expensive. But again, we have brands, or we have people who have streamlined the entire process in a very easy way. So all these limitations are being surpassed or are being overcome by current applications and softwares and manufacturing processes. Next. This is all about bespoke. Yeah, next. So another trivia we have here: which make do you prefer out of these and why? What do you think is best suitable for you, or what do you prefer? Let me know in the comments or chat box. Next, moving on to fashion forecasting. Fashion forecasting is the prediction of mood, behavior, and buying habits of a consumer in an upcoming season. So as you can see from the term, you're forecasting your fashion trend for the future. It's no longer a criteria to identify your consumer by age or gender or race. Now the system and the whole process have been evolving. So you technically right now you look into their moods, consumers' moods and occasions, and their followers or influencers they follow. So these characteristics are affecting a person's buying behavior more than the traditional characteristics that we used to go for. But the current characteristics are more highly efficient than compared to your last. Yeah. So trend forecasting in fashion acts as an important tool to decide the upcoming trends. And what are the uses of fashion forecasting, you may ask? It is highly useful for product planning, gaining market positioning and positioning knowledge, and about brands, your what do you say, your seasonal arrivals, new arrivals, and what is going to be the trend for the next season, and how are the style directions, how are the textile directions, what are the Pantones that are currently in trend. Everything will be analyzed in fashion forecasting. So what are the steps in developing a fashion forecast? So there are 4 main things that are considered when doing a forecast. So you gain knowledge of historical fashion and ideas for the future, and you study the social and cultural changes in the society, and you observe the movement of direction of changes. You analyze what provoked such changes in society, and analyzing past data. You're going to scrutinize and analyze different data from primary and secondary resources. And so there are 5 main steps in forecast, which is like you'll have to research a lot, investigating from different sources. And secondly, we have sorting, which is all about editing and collecting different information. We have predicting, a little bit of prediction goals, and forecasting possible trends, and justifying it with available sources, and communicating, delivering the outputs, thoughts, and ideas behind the predictions. That also serves as a main stage in fashion forecast. Which fashion icon you feel was or is much ahead of their time? Who's very advanced in fashion, you feel? Which fashion icon you admire the most? Let me know on the comments or on the chat box.
Anu, we have answer for the previous question as well. Some of them have answered on Zoom.
Okay.
Yeah. Just a second. Yeah. Are you able to see the chat box?
Yes.
Yeah. So Namita said made to measure. Dr. Rashmi has said bespoke. Isha Bajaj says depends on the occasion.
Great. Okay.
So
Yeah.
those are the answers. You could just
So between ready to wear and made to measure, yes, a lot of people are adapting to ready to wear and made to measure simultaneously. And yeah, I use all three types depending on occasion and time I have. Yes, time is the main factor that decides on what sort of make to go for, because um, mostly in men's wear, people prefer to wait because they really care about their fittings. But again, women's fashion is still yet to evolve in bespoke direction. So where are the four? Okay, we have a question here. Where or who forecasts trends? What are the determinants or rather deciding factors? Who decides trends versus fad? Okay, so there are fashion forecasters. It is a full-time career option, actually. Fashion forecasters are the ones who do uh, a very elaborate study on existing fashion trends and past fashion trends, right? So we have a lot of sources to follow fashion trends and fashion forecast materials. We have WGSN. I'm just going to put it in the chat box if you're interested. We have WGSN, which is it's a very good technique used in fashion forecasting because it has everything listed out, like from accessories to pantones to prints to textile, your trims, every single thing is listed out there according to past season. So as you study each season fashion forecast, you come to understand how different trends are changing and what are the factors really affecting it. Like there might be a lot of factors that are affecting these trends, right? Like socioeconomic factors and pandemics. Like, for example, now there is a pandemic going on, there's a coronavirus, COVID happening. So, as you can see, the fashion industry has become a non essential. So, people who are wearing formals right now are comparatively much lesser than compared to 3 months back, right? So it all depends on different factors. Now people are adapting to Zoom suits and things like business casuals, because that's what it is all about now. So a lot of factors are deciding factors in fashion forecasting. Yeah.
Anu, can you please repeat the name of the fashion forecast? People are asking.
WGSN, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Probably I'll put the link there.
yeah, that would be wonderful if we can do that.
Can I type WGSN? Okay.
We have answer for your second question as well. Which fashion icon you feel was or is?
Ranveer Singh, yeah, nice. Amitabh Bachchan, yes. Amal Clooney, wow, I love Amal Clooney. She's so beautiful and she can rock any outfit that she wears, right? Amazing. Thank you all for your answers. It's really, um, yeah, excited to see all your answers. Sure, I'll be checking the comment section. Thank you. Coco Chanel, yes. Ranveer Singh, great. Coco Chanel is such an icon. Yeah, okay. Moving on to the next session. Yeah. So moving on to women's wear segment. So I'm just going to quickly touch upon a few rules and codes to be followed for each category, because I know everyone would be aware of women's wear category. So I'm just going to quickly touch upon some codes. I'll start with party or cocktail because it's more fun. So basically for party or cocktail, as you can see, you're going to really experiment with your dress by keeping it a little subtle yet polished, right? You experiment not with colors or patterns here. You experiment more with silhouettes and symmetry. So, and then you do a little playful twist. You give a little playful twist to your garment by going for a high loops, like bigger loops, or some eccentric accessories can be used. And then it's always a safe option to go for a little black dress when it comes to your party or cocktail. And it's always preferred to, go for a high heels, or a simple ballerina also will look good if you're tall. And moving on to business casuals. So business casuals is where you can experiment with interesting colors, yet keeping it a little minimal. You can experiment with embellishments, cutouts, but try to keep it like subtle and sophisticated. And this, if you want to do a formal wear, but want to include a bit of playful shades and fun colors, you can do it here. So in current trend, this particular dressing style is being adapted a lot because, as I spoke about, social economic factors. Next. So business formals, best suitable for daytime, semi-formal events such as work lunches, conferences, board meetings. So you can go for a nice tailored dress to a suit worn with high heels. And it can also include a nice appropriate skirt, and an equally formal blouse will also look good for a business formal. So when choosing a skirt, make sure that you can sit comfortably in public, and mini skirts, for example, are avoidable for business formals as they are considered inappropriate in business formals. So you just have to do a bit of power dressing and just project a formal image as much as you can when it comes to business formals. Moving on to casual wear, it is all about simplicity and stylish comfort. Fabrics that are no fuss, soft, breathable, and what you should be, aiming for. And silk tops, skinny jeans, shirt dresses are fun options that you can experiment with. And you can also pair it up with some funky accessories, and you're good to go. You can carry like on the image you have a person wearing a great hat and a big bag. So it's all about accessorizing and styling your outfit accordingly. So moving on to must-haves in a women's wardrobe. This list will change person to person. It depends on perceptions. But I feel that this particular list is a must-have in every woman's wardrobe. So we have tailored white shirt, peg trousers, pencil skirt, tailored blazer, an elegant dress, or an LBD. So these are very essential in a women's wardrobe. And it is definitely essential to build one's capsule wardrobe. I know people, as a stylist, I get a lot of clients coming and asking on suggestions on how to build a capsule wardrobe. I think these are very important, fundamentally important, or these are the base of a capsule wardrobe. So you can see the images. So that's a peg trouser, first image, and then you have your pencil skirt, you have LBD, you have an elegant dress, a well-tailored blazer. So these are the essentials for a women's wardrobe. Next, we are moving on to body shapes. So again, just going to quickly run through the codes required for each body shape. So rectangle body shape, also known as athletic or in a straight body type, the sort of celebrities you can compare a rectangle body shape to are you have your Kate Middleton, and you have Anne Hathaway and Cameron Diaz all have rectangle body shapes. One of the biggest advantages of having a rectangular body shape is that you get to choose which assets you want to play up. And if you're looking to create an appearance of curves, you can accentuate your top, and then you can kind of give a shape to your waist. So that's how you can accessorize or dress accordingly. And best outfits to choose from for a rectangle body type are mostly V-neck tops, detailed collars, hoop necks, high waists. When you want to team your jeans, you can go for a wide leg jeans, or like trench coats. You have your lists, yeah. Moving on to pure body shape, also now known as triangular frame. So your hips and thighs are wider than your shoulders and bust. So that is a pure shape. And you have a defined waist that is narrow compared to your waist. That is when you have a pure shape. And celebrities who have pear shaped bodies, we have Jennifer Lopez, we have Rihanna, and we have America Ferrara. And yeah, so, and the dress codes which are usually well suited for pear shaped are peplum, boat necks, boot cuts, high waisted trousers, mini shorts, texture blazers. These are the I've listed out some on the image you can like look into. Yeah. Next, we have V shape. So here are some characteristics that often apply to V shape. You have your shoulders, broadest part of your body are your shoulders, and your hips and waists are narrower. That's like an inverted triangle, as you can call it. And the best suitable tops. And mostly things to avoid in this body shape is that please avoid structured jackets. Structured jackets is nothing but having stiff shoulder pads on your jackets. So better to avoid this in V shape because it will make your shoulders look even bulkier than it is. Yeah, next. Hourglass, also considered the ideal body type in universal language. Basically, your shoulders and hips are about equal width, and you have a defined waistline. So that's how you describe your hourglass, also known as curvy body shape. Notable celebrities are Beyonce, Kim Kardashian. They all have hourglass figures, and I think hourglass almost all the garments goes with hourglass, but there are some outfits that can be avoided, like for example, embellishments around your waist or shapeless bottoms. A lot of asymmetry on your bottom can be avoided for hourglass. And what is the best to wear? As I said, a lot of almost all outfits go well with hourglass. The things that you can go for is a V-neck peplum, high-waisted jeans, skinny jeans, well-tailored suits will look amazing. Yeah. So we also have petite, body frame where you're 5'3" or under. So for this body frame, for shorter people, your inseam is 27 inches or less for non-crop style. And regular sleeves and straps are often too long because when you're going for a ready-made, obviously you have some drawbacks when you're going for your garments. So it's better to go for well-tailored, bespoke or made to measure on those lines, because ready-made, sometimes some brands won't have your size. And the best garments to go for off shoulders will look really good on shorter people, light colored garments, and 3/4 sleeves, crop jackets, skinny bottoms will look really good. Also high-waisted pants, yeah. And coming to tall body frame, you're 5'9" or taller. That's when you fall into taller category. Your inseam is 32 inches or longer. That's how you characterize this. And your sleeves and pant legs are often too short, or you always have this feeling that your pants are always ankle length, but that's not the case. That's because you've been purchasing from a ready-made brand. If you want to go for a proper fitting ones, obviously you have options of going for a bespoke or a made to measure. The best suiting outfits are again long lines, long lines, trench coats, tunics, and wraps or tops, wrap dresses are all like really good with tall things. So we have a shoe dictionary here. So you'll have to really understand which shoe will go with which outfit. For example, you have pumps. The bottom level of shoes category I've mentioned here are all most suitable for party wear, cocktails, peep toe, pump. But it can also be teamed up with skirts when you're going for a business wear. But again, you have only certain heels dedicated to business wear and certain heels dedicated to your cocktail wear. So they're all categorized in such manner, and your boots category will mostly go with casuals or business casuals, and you have your loafer section, um, which is actually the best suitable for business formals. I have another trivia here. Do you always take body shape into account when you're shopping for outfits? Is that something that you always think about when you do an impulse shopping or at a bespoke studio or a made to measure studio? Do you always consider your body shapes into account? We have some answers. Okay, great, great, great. Yes, as image consultants, I believe we all, and as a stylist, I think we all really consider body shapes into. But there are people who are yet not been educated about this and would want to have assistance on this. That's where bespoke and made to measure and everything comes into account. Thank you for your answers. Moving on to next section. So moving on to men's history fashion.
We have Deepti saying that now only we did, after doing the course only we started to
So
see our
men's
body
fashion.
shape.
Hello.
Yeah, there's a comment from Deepti saying that now only we started to look into our body shape. Earlier it was only the fit that
Only we took
mattered.
the course earlier, it was only fit which one. Fit which one. Okay. Yeah, correct. Earlier it was, yes, it was a matter of fit, but now we have a lot of factors affecting one's fashion choices, right? That's true. Thanks, Deepti.
Also, the course has helped is what Deepti is saying. The ICBI course that we've done as image consultants.
Okay.
So that's helped is what Deepti is saying. So after that, before that, they were more bothered about, they're not bothered about the fit. I mean, they were bothered about the fit. Right now they understand is what she's saying.
Okay, true.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
you've all been helping people understand these factors much better, right?
Yeah, we've been trained on body shape. Yes.
Yes, correct. Thank you. Okay, so now moving on to history of men's fashion. Men's fashion originated in ancient Egypt when the kings started using a very sophisticated dress code and started giving uniforms to lower designated people. That's when different levels of dressing came into existence. And it was undisputable sign that men's fashion had overtaken the fundamental purpose of clothing. So initially it was just, they wanted to just dress, right? Ancient Egyptians were the ones who brought in a new meaning to the entire fashion. and dressing code and all of that. And George Brian Brummel is founding father behind well-tailored trousers and well-tailored suits. So he got in the sophistication into men's fashion. Well-tailored trousers were introduced instead of knee breeches and stockings, which was a major step in men's fashion when they made the transition from a breech to a well-tailored trousers, when men's fashion really took a turn, right? And it was almost during the early 19th century. What is this? Yeah. So like women's wear, we also have menswear section categorized into similar categories. What's this? So yeah. So we have casuals. This is a more relaxed dress code. Like it's very similar to women's wear. It's a very relaxed dress code, but in men's fashion, what your must-haves are your jeans, sweaters, sneakers, t-shirts, denim jackets, and a pop of color or a pop of accessory. Like currently, I think leather bracelets are in trend, which is an indicator, which is a main accessory used in casual fashion right now in men's fashion. So the more classic you go, the more stylish you can be in your casual wear. So try to, even though it's casual, don't overdo your fashion sense in casuals. Just keep it a little minimal and then include your own styling in it. Then we have smart casuals. So smart casuals is a level elevated than your casual dress code. It is a step above your casual dress code. It is relaxed and comfortable dressing sense, and you can combine everyday garments with more sophisticated items. And you could wear like a t-shirt and blazer and chinos. So you want to add another layer, like as you image consultants call it, another layer in order to make it smarter. That's all smart casual are all about, just including a statement piece onto your outfit. Then you have business casuals. Again, like women's wear, you have professional touch. Then your smart casuals. It is casuals, but you're giving a professional touch to it. So it's the most popular trend now in business casuals is chinos and mixed with a blazer, like a casual blazer, and then like a white t-shirt on the inside. So that is a trending look right now in business casual, chinos and a casual blazer and a yeah. So moving on to business formals. So business formals is all about flaunting your classic styling. Classic styling, which we talked about, which we spoke about in previous section, comes into play here. It is stylish, it is simple, and all your notch lapel and peak lapel goes here. Notch and peak lapel are your standard lapels, as you can see in the images, and as you can see, they are adapting to a very subtle shade and a very professional shades in general, like midnight blue, charcoal gray, and mid gray, and all of that. Next, we have black tie events. Black tie event is a semi-formal Western dress code for evening events which originated from British. Black tie events in general originated from UK, And it is mostly, these high class, high level events that goes on. And the most preferred dress codes are mostly blacks, midnight blues, charcoal grays, and your tuxedos. Tuxedos are the main characteristic of black tie events. And you can add your accessories onto your tuxedos, like probably a kamarband and a nice bow tie and pleated shirts, like you have pin tuck frill shirts that can be used with tuxedos. And you have black tie creative, which is mostly used for weddings. I love clients who come looking for black tie creative outfits, because that is where your creativity comes into play, because you'll have to combine classic and uh, uh, classic sophistication and your creative design there. So as you can see, you have jacquard tuxedos. Like in first image, you have a jacquard tuxedo. That is a creative outfit. And then you have handmade embroideries. Like we in 108 we spoke, we do a lot of hand embroideries and high level sequencing and embellishments. All this acts as a very creative outfit for your weddings. It is usually made in velvets, jacquards, or brocades, or on those lines. And then we have white tie events, which are the most exclusive events of them all. And it demands for a very formal attire. The most highest level of dressing code goes into play in white tie events. As you can see, they're all very aristocratically dressed, and with the patent leather shoes, and mostly whites are used in white tie events, because white is a very exclusive color which cannot be used everywhere in suits. I'm talking about suits. So white suits comes into play here, because it's a very exclusive. You have your galas, Met galas, which happens every year, right? And then you have your high class red carpet events and all of that. And here you have just basic categorization of t-shirts, and you have your polo t-shirt, you have your Henley, and you have your round neck t-shirts, just different categories of t-shirt. And when it comes to different parts of a shirt, well-tailored shirt, you have so and so categorization. You have your main label column, you have your yoke, collar, so everything should be you have your care label, upper front facing, body, back parts. So all these are very important when you are going for a bespoke or made to measure garments. You have to really understand what each and every part of a shirt means, right? For in order to be able to make the right decision, because in bespoke and made to measure, you do your own customization, especially in bespoke. It is very important to understand the different uh, attributes of a shirt. And then we have different collar types. In different collar types, if every collar type is related to an occasion or an event. For example, you have button down, which are exclusively used for formal wear. And then you have your wing collar used for tuxedos, for your tuxedo pin tuck shirts. And then you have your stand collar for casuals. So each collar type can be attributed to different occasions and events. And then you also have your cuff types. Similarly, you have your French cuff used for high class events when you're wearing your cufflinks and you want to look very formal, you do your French cuff. And if you want to keep it very simple, you do your round cuff. And placket types, you have your concealed placket when you're doing your tuxedo. If you don't want to, if you're wearing if you're a frequent tie wearer, you can do a concealed placket. The buttons won't be seen then. Or if you're doing a hidden, you're doing a turnaround for a casual shirt. So you have different placket options for different occasions. And also your back body decides your fit. If you're going for a waist pleat, it will give you a more fitted garment. If you're going for a bow pleat, it is slightly comfort fit. If you're doing both side pleat, it gives a even more comfort fit. And Apticus is a neutral back body type. And then you have your shoe guide. Each shoe is attributed to different occasions. Like you have your derby going with jeans, or going with more of a business casual. You have Oxford working very well with business formals. Then you have your loafer used mainly for I have seen clients using loafer for a lot of weddings. When they're doing ankle length trousers, they usually go for loafers because it gives a very good look with ankle length. So each shoe type is attributed to different occasions and events. Moving on to men's body type, again, you can kind of compare men's body type to women's body type. Obviously, the patterns and the kind of silhouettes will vary, but it's all more or less on the same page because we have the same body shape types here. We have triangle body shape, which are, as you can see, you have more fat under your belly, so it's more like an inverted body type. Things you can avoid is fitted t-shirts or fitted shirts, which will make your already prominent body shape even more prominent, so that can be avoided. And extremely skinny fits can be avoided. Best fits you can go for when you're opting for a bespoke and made to measure is a comfort fit. There are 2-3 fits in bespoke and made to measure: super slim, slim fit, regular fit, and comfort fit. I would say for triangle body shape, you can either opt for a regular fit or a comfort fit. Better to avoid super slim and slim fittings. Inverted triangle is like the hourglass of women's body shape. It's an ideal body shape for men, and but you have certain things that you can avoid when it comes to inverted triangle body shape. Again, structured tailoring can be avoided. That is like heavy padding on your jackets can be avoided. Prints, patterns, scoop necklines can be avoided. Best to go for is you can opt for polo shirts, slim fits, regular v-neck t-shirts, straight leg trousers. All these can be opted. Rectangular body shape, we have a symmetrical body shape, like you have the same measurements on your chest, waist, and your hips, so they're more or less the same proportion. For this, what can be avoided is double-breasted jackets, because it'll make you look even boxier in a double-breasted jacket. You can go for a nice double button, single breasted jackets. Casual jackets will go very well. Layered looks, waistcoats will go very well with rectangle body shapes, scarves, a lot of detailings. Because your body is really proportional, you can opt for a lot of things. Then we have oval body shape. Again, it is kind of similar to your triangle body shape. The slim fits and super slim fits can be avoided here again. Mostly comfort fit with pleated trousers can be opted when you're going for an oval body shape. White collared shirts to be avoided because it projects your body type to be even broader when you're wearing such a white collared shirts. Single breasted jackets, again, I would say like double breasted only goes with inverted triangle, and probably trapezoid as well. So moving on to trapezoid, it is more or less similar to your rectangle body shape, but it's even more tapering after your chest area. So slim fit trousers can be opted, and vertical stripes, checks, all this can be opted when you're going for a trapezoid. And avoidable things are horizontal and vertical stripes. Stripes in general to be avoided when you're going for a trapezoid. And check stripes, depending on height, can be adopted. So moving on to color analysis.
Anu, before we move on to color analysis, team, do we have any questions that you would want to ask? We've taken all the questions in the chat box, but are there any questions before we move on to color analysis?
Any questions? Sorry.
Doesn't look like. I think then we can move on. Yeah, please go ahead. Okay, there's one.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. Yeah, go on. We'll
Sorry, your voice is breaking.
No, please go ahead.
Okay. So coming to color analysis can radically change one's appearance, right? So colors dominate our senses and impact our first impressions on someone when we see them for the first time. So colors create such moods in our head. And for example, blue is considered calming and soothing, while red is considered very aggressive and kind of rough. And choosing colors that complement your natural skin tone, eyes, and hair shade will improve your appearance by making you seem more attractive and also energetic. So choosing the right shade is all that matters. And conversely, like when you're wearing clothes of the wrong shade, you can look really worn out or drained, something like that. So color is very important aspect of dressing. Oops. Yeah. So identifying your personal palette will not only improve your general look, but will enable you to build a wardrobe that interacts together at all levels and allows the maximum use of your garment and accessory. So there are some terminologies that can be used when you're depicting colors, which makes a great difference in your pronunciation, like terminologies that you use with people. So for example, name a color with imagination, and it should be able to be used across a lot of product categories when you're describing a color. And you'll have to really understand a client's perception of the color. So you want to depict a mood. So you take examples from nature, from your everyday life, from food, from animals. Like for example, you have spices with different colors, right? Like you have paprika, curry red. You use all these terminologies, and it makes a big impact when you're explaining colors to people. And also you have building materials, colors which are like adobe, terracotta red, bronze. Then you have copper red, you have flamingo pink, robin blue egg. All this makes a very good impact when you're explaining shades. And then you have your color analysis according to complexion. You have a set of do's and don'ts. Like you have colors you look best in, and then colors to avoid. So I'm just running through it. These are the dress codes that are generally used: beige, burgundy. So contrary to this, of course, these are the set of codes that can be used. But again, it all depends on your on perceptions again. Like for example, if you're going for a pistachio on him, it might look good if you're doing the accessories right, or if you're doing the styling right. It depends on external styling and accessories factors as well, apart from your complexion. So coming to textiles, so we have a set of codes to describe textiles. So how you describe textile on an overall style? You explained as romantic, folkloric, botanical. So all these I'm talking about are about terminologies that can be used, which really makes a big impact. How do you interpret textiles? You can interpret it as abstract, geometric, realistic patterns. And when it comes to scale, you can do small scale motifs and large scale motifs. And then you can describe complexity or complex composition of the fabric. And then you can also talk about cultural references. Like, for example, you have African tribal prints, and then you have Asian inspired textiles, and then you have historic references like time periods. For example, Skabal has a history where they talk about them being the pioneers of fabric industry, right? So you can talk about the history as well. And then you have color story going on with the textile. You can talk about them. And then you have different motifs or prints like seashell, animal prints. So all these can be used to explain different aspects of textiles. And the overall look, the total look of one's outfit, like feminine or minimalistic. And then you can talk about theme or mood like gothic, emo, and then you talk about silhouettes, point of emphasis, and fit can be described as body hugging, relaxed, comfort, tapered fit. So all this can be used with your clients or with people, yeah. And the trims, beadings, feather lace trims are the ones that comes as extras in your garment. Like, for example, buttons are counted as trims, and then your threads are counted as trims. So the materials that are used in producing a garment is known as trims. And then you have your fabric types, woven fabrics, knitted fabrics, then finishing, all this goes under designs. So this is something that I want to discuss about, is a gap filled by social media and fashion influencers. So in current scenario, everybody are looking up to fashion influencers, celebrities, and now there was a study which has reported that more than 35% of young US women considered social media their main influence and their main purchase factor. So it is all about social media now in current generation. Uh, the US is leading right now in social media and social media marketing, but Europe and India are right behind it. It is almost on race with US in attracting this particular segment. And the online world is not only a place to sell, it's also a place to where you can reach your audience. So it's a big gap filled by social media influencers, I would say. So okay, these are some social media influencers. So these are some viral posts that I found, which might be helpful, like talking about sustainability with some great hashtags. Daniel Wellington adapting to social. So they have about 3.2 million followers, and it's all about, their posts are all about minimalism, beautiful images. They make their campaigns very, very simple, but they're very loud and they're very strong in the message that they deliver to their audience. This is something I really liked. It's Voxed Waters Retrieve Project. So every purchase that every piece they sell, they promise to plant trees, for every sale that's been made. And they have collaborated with National Forest Foundation, and they're planting 2 new trees for every purchase that's been made. And it's a philanthropic campaign. And this is also a very viral post that went, I think in 2019. So Kylie literally comes into, so she has her own cosmetic brand, and then she's doing a studio tour. She's doing her office tour, and suddenly she gets into her daughter's nursery, and then she starts singing Rise and Shine. And it became such a big pop culture meme, pop culture thing, that she sold thousands of merchandise with her Rise and Shine quote on it, because we made her popular, we made the post popular, and then she started making these viral merchandise. One trivia that I have here is, do you allow social media influences to affect your buying patterns? Why or why not? Love to hear it from you. I think we got some answers. Yeah. Where do I see? I'm unable to view when I'm having the screen sharing on. Okay, probably
We
that's
do not had answers yet. Maybe you could put the same slide again, and then we'll wait.
Yeah. Do you allow social media influencers to affect your buying patterns? Why or why not? Okay.
Yes, we have one answer. I believe from Deepti, I believe in being mindful about everything I purchase, and social media does not influence much. I only try and learn from them. That's a good
Great.
answer.
That's a great answer. That's, I think, mantra that we all need to follow. We should be really mindful, and we shouldn't really uh, just blindly believe influencers, blindly follow them. Of course, there are very good influences right now on social media, but we are always supposed to be mindful on what we choose. Thank you, Deepti. Moving on to the next section, it's all about technology and fashion. I think we made an elaborate, detailed session last time with Mr. Bharat. So I'm just going to touch upon some more technologies that are used in current scenario in fashion.
Anu, it'll be nice if you could explain, because not many people would have attended the last session. So it'll be nice if you could touch upon a few points from last time as well, if that's okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Thanks.
Yeah. So artificial intelligence in fashion has drastically enhanced customer shopping experience and sales and your customer relationship management, trend forecast, like I was talking about, and inventory related management. Everything is now made very hassle free with some amazing technologies. So we're going to see technologies that have really shaped fashion's future. So as customers' real lives became increasingly intertwined with the digital world, many designers, many brands, stylists have embraced the latest technologies to push the limits of manufacturing, productions, marketing, and availability. So let's see some of them. Finery is a very good application. I think it's a free one. It's an automated wardrobe planning tool um, that uses analytics records of its customers' purchases and introduce them in a virtual wardrobe. So it's a place where you can literally be in a virtual wardrobe, like a walk-in wardrobe, with products which are made for you with the analytics that they have already been made. And it is a British fashion label, and it's a great tool. So we have some. They also give you some wish list and recommendations, and They give you looks from over 10,000 shops with the purchase details they have of yours and some analysis they do. Moving on to TrueFit. So TrueFit is an online fit engine that helps user find an adequate fit in the market. So you choose certain options they give you, like you'll need to fill in the details of your measurements and you're good to go. So we have like their jean. So this is all about jeans and trousers and tops. So you'll have to just fill in your basic details, and then it generates your very well fitted jeans or garment for that matter to you. So it's basically very difficult to find jeans that is like really well fitting nowadays in the market. So this application really helps you to overcome the obstacle of finding rightly fitting jeans. So this is another application called Hook, which allows users to track trends in real time and specific keyword. Like you'll have to just enter specific keywords into this application. They have an option for it, and it uses navigation patterns, price points, and more. You can just give in all your details there, and Hook's AI-driven search discovery platform tracks the exact or closest match to your product. So all you need to do is enter your keyword and the AI automatically generates what you're looking for and all your insights on competitors. So if it's generating one garment, right, it simultaneously generates every other competitor's garments that are available in market right now. So you have a very clear insight of what's going on in the market and what is the best suitable for you with respect to price points, fits, and patterns. Next, we have Hexoskin. So Hexoskin is a smart shirt for monitoring heart rate and breathing rate, breathing volume, antigraphy, and other activity measurements like step counting and tempo. So normally in general we have a smartwatch and smart band and all of that in market, but they went one step further and made a garment which is smart. The Hexoskin allows real-time remote health monitoring on smartphones and tablets using Bluetooth. So you have everything integrated, so you can track all your progress and your health status directly on your mobiles and tablets. So it's really useful one, but it's yet to get popular in India. Let's see, probably this will get on top of the fashion life cycle in some days, I guess. And they also manufacture socks that count steps, calories, and other data. So that's actually pretty cool. A socks which counts your steps, calories, and things related to your health, right? And then you have Lumia. So Lumia is it's a San Francisco-based textile company. So it can be they develop soft, flexible circuits which are very safe and very durable, and they embed it into your garments and into textiles or fabrics, which is used for heating, lighting, and sensing or data tracking applications. So it technically keeps textile composition and its various factors updated in your system. Next, we have TechPacker. This is used mainly in made to measure and bespoke. So it helps streamline and automate the entire lengthy process that made to measure and bespoke go through. It also is used in ready-made. But when you're making a tech pack, right, it's for an individual, you make a tech pack. So it is technically used for made to measure and bespoke. So making so in bespoke and made to measure, each garment is made individually according to sizes. And as you all know, it's a tedious process. So it's very useful in streamlining the entire thing to use a tech packer. And it eliminates the entire manual process and constant emailing, pre-production department. Everything can be eliminated by using a tech packer. And it also has inbuilt application to send emails, making tech pack creation 70% faster for tradition compared to your traditional methods. And then we have something called Obsess. It creates 3D, 360-degree shopping experience on their websites, mobile applications. So these applications are trending right now. We have a lot of these applications being used in India right now. So they give you a virtual shopping experience yet to be popular among consumers, but retail owners, retail brand owners are adapting it, more and more in these seasons. And then we have something else called Avametric, which enables to render real clothing virtually in 3D. So this is Avametric is mostly used for photo shoots. Like it is a digitally made photo shoot. You need not have an actual photo shoot or actual model wearing a garment. You can automatically create everything online, like how we had big things last time we spoke about big things. So this is all it's all about. So yeah, so we've come to the end. So on a closing note, I would just like to conclude that the fashion industry continues to evolve every day, each and every day as we speak. It is continually evolving with trends and being flaunted left and right. And it's important to stay tuned with what's hot and what's not. So I have given some tips and some techniques to keep up with the trend and keep up with the ever evolving fashion. So I hope you found this session useful. And also, each individual is entitled to embracing a style that defines who they are as a person and what they feel comfortable in. Though we have all these dress codes, there's something called individual styling and individual comfort level as well. Everything is taken into account. And fashion is all about celebrating unique and distinct looks. So, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Anu. There are few points in the chat box. You could just. Can you see the chat box?
There were questions like, can you give examples with Indian dresses in these?
Steffi, they are majorly into Western wear. So I did answer that question in the chat itself. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry?
Anything else? No. So somebody wanted tips on Indian wear. I was saying that you're mainly into Western wear. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Indian wear is a whole different session. It has a lot of aspects and a lot of things contrasting to what we see in Western wear. Actually, that maybe we can have a separate session on Indian wear as well, ethnic wear.
Steffi, what are the other questions?
No, ma'am. No, there's no more questions. It was just the answers people have given. Like Arnav, they have said that regarding the social media influence, they say they do give some sneak peek and ideas. However, it all depends on your body type and personal style. Hence, even if I like something, it's all about personalizing into your style. So
Exactly. Yes, yes, yes. Like I spoke about it like some time back. It's all about personal style again, but influencers have been constantly creating an image that they feel that needs to be followed by the entire generation. For example, the Kardashians and Jenners, for example, uh, made hourglass figure like so famous that everyone started adapting it. And sometime back, Kareena Kapoor had size zero talking about a lot, so everybody started adapting it. So social media influences uh, needs to be followed mindfully. Like we had another answer sometime back, it has to be followed mindfully. One has to keep your fashion sense, your personal individual fashion sense into account, and take good attributes from a fashion influencer. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Nikita. Thank you, Kirti, Rashmi, Arnav. Thanks, everyone.
Steffi, over
Bharat
to
sir
you.
can take
yeah.
over.
Yeah, ma'am. Thank you, Anu. It was a wonderful session. As you started that buy less, choose well, make it last is what is very important. And thank you for this
Thank you.
wonderful session. We had an amazing time with you.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you
you,
so much.
Bespoke,
Thanks.
for
Thanks.
arranging this session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Before we leave, can we have a quick picture? Anupriya, if you can stop your screen sharing.
Okay, okay,
Some
okay. I'll do that.
few pictures.
I think some of them left during the question answer session.
Yeah.
Anu, thank you once again. Bharat, thank you for the session. It is really nice.
Thanks. In the meanwhile, I've
Yeah.
just added the link to the fashion tech session we had with a few image consultants in Chennai and Bangalore.
Yes.
In case anybody's interested, and that's totally on what is the new technology that is going, is being used mainly because so most of these technologies were going to be uh, coming into picture in 2022 or 23, but because of the COVID situation, there is a sudden push to technology, because a lot of people don't want to go to a showroom and try on clothes. There are a lot of people who don't want to get out and shop. So there's a massive push in fashion technology. So that might be a very valuable session if people are interested.
Sure, sure.
Yeah, so I just briefly explained on different softwares and applications, but I think if you want to know more about more detailed descriptions of applications, I think that link will help you.
Yes, yes. that'll be
Because we were running out of time. It was already 5:30, so I just brushed it upon.
Sure, sure. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Anupriya. It was a lovely session. Thank you so much, Mr. Bharat.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
We're more than happy to have such sessions whenever you guys need. And uh, again, please thank IMPA from our side.
Sure.
Thank you, Aruna. Thank you, Namita, and thank you, Steffi, for pulling out such a good session. And yeah, any questions, even if you guys get later, you can push it our way, and I'll have Anu reply them to you whenever there's such questions that are asked.
We can share it on the group. Yeah, we'll do that. We can share it on our WhatsApp group as well, and we will share it.
And
Great.
and we'd be more
Awesome.
than happy to help anybody if they have any kind of questions or any kind of need with respect to Bespoke. We've been real good friends with Aruna and other members of IMPA. We'll be more than happy to help anybody out. So now that we're going to anyways have a formal tie-up with IMPA, people can reach out to us directly.
Sure.
Yeah. Thanks, Aruna.
Great. Thank you, Bharat.
Yeah.
So on that note, we'll close the session. Thank you so much for being with us. Some of them have left during the question answer session. A wonderful weekend to all of you, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Wish you all the same. Have a great
Thank you.
weekend.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for a lovely session. Bye.
Thank you, Preeti.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Aruna.
Thank you.
I think we can stop FB live as well.